Hello everybody, welcome to the Northern Film Review. We are back again for the second week of the show. We've got an exciting sort of throwback show for you. Well, it's not throwback. I say all these shows are throwback. They're not really throwback. They're just sort of old films. Is that technically a throwback? I don't know. Anyway, we've got a great show for you, delving into the world of Edgar Wright. Luke's favourite topic. He is a self-proclaimed expert on Edgar Wright. And all this sort of wonderful stuff. And we're going to be doing it on Baby Driver, which is, an exciting film. Problematic in some ways, amazing in others. And yeah, it's going to be a great show. Hopefully you enjoy it. Yeah. The Northern Film Review with your hosts, Oliver Ellis and Luke Simpson. So yeah, we're here together, aren't we, Luke?
Second week in a row together.
Second week in the row together. Recording in the studio again, right in front of each other. Very exciting stuff. I think last week we were a bit flummoxed. It's not really a word, but I've coined it now.
A bit overwhelmed because it was a bit. Oh, we're in a new studio.
Yeah,
lots of buttons to press.
Lots of buttons to press. I did spend about half an hour trying to fix stuff. And I ended up breaking something, but it's fine. I try not to think about my mistakes that much, otherwise I'd be completely overwhelmed. But yeah, last week was a good show.
Brilliant show. I think it went all right.
Yeah.
I mean, a bit short of a show.
Yeah.
But we move.
We definitely move. It was a good show because we reviewed No Time to Die, which was sort of I didn't feel super positively about it, but
loved it.
Luke loved it. Very much his vibe. But yeah, it was an interesting show to talk about sort of our differences. And this week, like I said in the intro, we are doing Edgar Wright. Well, we're not doing like a show on Edgar Wright. We're doing it on Baby Driver. And we'll be talking about Edgar Wright as well.
Well, I thought we could do an Edgar Wright film because he's got a new film coming out anyway.
What's the name of the film?
It is Last Night in Soho, coming out in cinemas very soon for Halloween.
Oh, okay. Is it a Halloween-y film or?
It's a horror film.
Ooh, very exciting. I don't know what I feel like we should watch a horror film in the cinema for this show, but I don't know which one it's going to be. There's like a new Scream film, isn't there?
That looks awful. But yeah, there's Malignant. I don't know if that's still out. That was James Wan's one. Halloween, the new Halloween film.
Yeah,
that's coming out. I mean, Last Night in Soho, that's coming out on I think 23rd. So that could be one to watch.
Yeah, maybe.
It's Anya Taylor-Joy in that one, so.
Maybe we should watch that. I mean, sometimes they all show sort of older horror films in the cinema on Halloween.
Surely they should put like the original Halloween series up because the new Halloween film is coming out anyway. So, it's already out. It came out on the 15th, I think. Yeah. So, I think
that's it. I feel like rating horror films would be a great podcast idea. Write it down. Well, I'm going to write that down in my notebook. But yeah,
it's a Halloween special.
Yeah. I mean, it's coming up to Halloween. And I think the next couple of shows we will be doing sort of like Halloween themed shows. Maybe. Yes, you're nodding your head.
We had an idea for Gerald Game, so that could be one we do next week.
Yeah, that's a very freaky film. But this week we're obviously doing Baby Driver, which does it. I first watched it not when it came out, but sort of a couple of years after.
Yeah.
When did it come out? It was
2016, 2017.
Yeah. So I didn't watch it right away, and it's a very filmy person's film.
Yeah, it's the cinematography is beautiful. It's Edgar Wright. It's got Edgar Wright all over it. Edgar Wright has a unique style. You can turn on the TV, see Shaun of the Dead, and go, oh yeah. If you didn't know what Shaun of the Dead was, you go, oh yeah, that's an Edgar Wright film straight away. He's got a certain style to his filmmaking. Yeah,
definitely. And it's a very interesting film because it's got this sort of gimmick to it. Is gimmick the right word? I don't know, but it's this sort of vibe of like this guy who sort of drives around and everything sort of syncs to the music.
Yeah.
So it very much feels like a long sort of music video, but in like a good way.
In a very good way.
And I think when it sort of first came out, it was a very sort of big hubbub about it, and it was like, oh, did you it's amazing. It's so crazy how they did that all. How impossible must that have been? And obviously you know a lot about this.
I do. I've seen it, I think, about 5 times now. 6 times. It's a comfort film. It's got action in it, comedy in it. It's music. I love my music, so it's Edgar Wright as well. What more do you want in a film? Starting off straight from the beginning, it starts off with this beautiful set piece of them robbing a bank, and it's basically set to bell bottoms, which is it was a song that Edgar Wright always wanted to do a car chase to.
Yeah.
And he got to do it in Baby Driver, and it was amazing. Starts off with the car just rolling up, and then it was silent, and then it starts off the music, and it, like you said, it's cut to the music. So when a car slams, it's when a drum hit happens, or a zh in the sound. It synced beautifully, and it's easy work for Edgar Wright because he does it in most of his films. He loves music, and he loves having beats on music in his films, and it makes a movie more enjoyable to watch when it's like that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this sort of what I found interesting about this film is it originally sort of the concept of it kind of started out as a music video.
Yeah, so he had the idea of, so like I said, he always wanted to do a car chase to the bell bottoms, but he had the chance to make a music video for Mint Royale. I think it was called The Blue Song, and it was it's got Noel Edmonds, not Noel Edmonds, Noel Fieldings,
yeah.
in it, and it's basically a short version of the opening scene. It's about a car heist, about a bank heist, and you focus on the getaway driver, and he's hitting him, tapping him beats away, windscreen wipers going off and on and stuff like that to the beats of the song, and that was like the first thing. What's it got? A pre-visualization of what he wanted to do for his film, and it's actually quite funny because there's a little scene in Baby Driver where he's watching TV, and in the back, and one of the shows is the music video for Mint Royale.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So it's like he's got his little project there that made him do Baby Driver in the end.
Well, I thought because we're sort of in the pitching segment of our course at the moment, and a way of sort of pitching films is like full feature films is like maybe sort of pitching it with a short film that you made, and I think that probably Edgar Wright used his sort of music video and was like, I want to make this concept into a big feature-length film.
Yeah.
And I really love that. I'm really sort of, I'm quite interested in the sort of the idea of people pitching their films with other films that they've made. So like Shiva Baby, if you've ever seen that film, it's about this college girl who sort of had a shiver. And the girl who made it, it's sort of a final year film at uni or college, was this sort of short film about this woman at a shiver, and then she used that as a pitch to make the feature length film. And I'm always interested in sort of like, that sort of concept of like this shorter thing then became that bigger thing, and that's the concept that built it, I think. Yeah,
it's the same with the Saw series. Originally, the first Saw was so it was by James Wan and Lee Whannell, and they were friends at the Australian Film School, and they're basically like our third year end film was the reverse bear trap scene, and they used that to pitch Saw, and now they're like these multi-million-dollar directors now.
Yeah, I think that puts a lot of pressure on our third year films.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
This could be the pitch for our feature length film that makes our career.
Yeah, we could be the next James Wan.
Yeah, but it is interesting. And Edgar Wright has also directed a bunch of other music videos as well. One notably, Colours by Beck, if you've ever seen that. It's got loads of sort of like blue people in it, and it's got that woman from Community in it. I don't know what she's called. But yeah, she's in it as well. And she's also in Glow as well. And yeah, it's sort of like, it's interesting to see like these sort of multi-talented sort of directors sort of doing all these sort of music videos and stuff. And also sort of like lots of some directors will sort of their careers will start off as music video directors.
I'm pretty sure Scorsese was a music video director before doing his films. I'm pretty sure.
I think, I don't know. I'm not really. I know what he did before his sort of like his main films was The Big Shave, which was a short film,
yeah.
And then he also made Italian American, which was like a documentary about his parents. And then I think he made another documentary. He made a couple of documentaries and a couple of short films, which is maybe the way to do it. Make a lot of experimental short films, and then sort of make a documentary. I mean, if you've ever seen The Big Shave and you're ever wondering, my sort of weird experimental film will never get picked up. Like, just watching The Big Shave was like really affirming to me as sort of like a piece of cinema. It was like watching Martin Scorsese make this sort of really weird film. But yeah, coming on to sort of back onto Baby Driver again, it's so sort of like dramatic, isn't it? Would you call it an action film?
I think it's a mixture. I think it's got action set pieces, but it's also a romantic film.
Yeah.
There's a big love interest in the film, which makes Baby Driver Baby. His real name's Baby, which gets picked up on in the film, and it kind of sways him away from the life of crime. He owes a big debt to the guy who shall not be named.
Kevin Spacey. We will talk about him later.
Yeah. But yeah, he owes a big debt to Kevin Spacey's character, and he just wants to get out of it. And then he goes to the diner and he meets this lovely lady, and basically sways him away from doing being a getaway driver.
Yeah, what I also like about this film is sort of audio impediment representation.
Yeah, so he's got tinnitus,
which I sort of have a little bit.
So my dad has it. So any film with tinnitus, and he goes, "Oh, I've got that."
Yeah, and that's why I sort of liked Sound of Metal.
Yeah,
as well as sort of like this representation of people with poor hearing. Is kind of it's a difficult thing to sort of represent. And I often like how they sort of like the sound would be often really good in these films.
Yeah. So for your example, the sound in the film, there's a part where it gets really high pitched. Like, I think there's like he gets knocked over, and either his hearing aid falls out or something happens. Like his headphones come out.
Yeah.
And you can hear like a really high pitched squeal, like this pitch getting higher and higher and higher and higher. You can see him cover his ears, because that's what tinnitus is. I think they're trying to represent what tinnitus is like to people who haven't got it, and it's high. You can just hear this constant over and over again. And I think Edgar Wright showed that in the film, especially when his headphones comes off. He listened. I think it's good because it's a pseudo musical, and the reason why he's listening to music, he's got a good valid reason to block out the tinnitus. So that's why there's a lot of music in the film, because there's a real live thing to. As an excuse to have it.
Exactly. I mean, it's sort of that's what often people with sort of worse tinnitus will have. They'll have a fan in their room to sort of block it out, and stuff like that. And it is quite an interesting sort of representation of it. And I think it's always quite cool thing I thought about the film. So sort of coming on to Kevin Spacey a little bit.
Yeah.
Is obviously he was sort of caught out doing bad things,
naughty stuff.
Well, quite bad stuff. And do you think that has affected the reputation of the film?
Honestly, I do. I think most of his films now are a bit of a taboo to watch because of his crimes he's done. And I think he got caught out just after Baby Driver was released.
Yeah.
So I thought, that definitely. People go like, I'm not going to watch it now because it's got him in it. Don't want to watch it. That same with House of Cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of all went to.
Yeah. I think I do kind of have that opinion, because it's sort of like, I mean, it's sort of like the separation. You could go into the argument of separation of art,
And real life.
and real life, and I sometimes I think that, but I think sort of with film having sort of very visual reminder of that this horrible man
Yeah.
on film is it's sort of, I don't really know how to feel about it, and I think I do sort of put it off. I think with sort of like the Harvey Weinstein films, because he's not sort of the main, he's not on screen, I'm more inclined to sort of watch those films again.
Yeah.
But I think with Kevin Spacey sort of films, it is a bit difficult.
Yeah.
To sort of watch it. And it is unfortunate really, because it's such a great film, but it's it is definitely sort of its own thing. I mean, there's lots of other sort of star-studded cast within. I think that's one of the things with the film.
It's good. Great cast. John Hamm, he's in it. Jamie Foxx, he's in it. Grab my laptop.
Yeah, I think John Hamm. Anything with John Hamm in it, I absolutely love.
John Hamm's great.
He's got a very tasty name.
Is it Suits? Isn't it? He's in.
No, he's in.
Not Suits. What's the one, that show?
I can't remember what it's called now. I've watched
Mad Men.
Mad Men. That's it. Yeah, I love Mad Men. And he's also in an episode of Black Mirror.
That Christmas. Is it the Christmas one?
Yeah, the Christmas one. Where he's and that's quite interesting. I think John Hamm's such a wonderful person. He used to be a drama teacher.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a very attractive man as well.
Yeah. So it's also got Ansel Elgort in it, who's baby in it, and it was his. I think this is like second feature-length film. It was like this first one was Fault in Our Stars, and everyone thought going into Baby Driver, is he going to make this good getaway driver, this good action star? And I think he put up a good showing for himself. Really, it was really, really good. He looked like he could, physically, be able to drive the car, be able to do all the parkour, different like that. And I just love like his presence in it. Like, he doesn't say much in it because he doesn't need to. And it's like there's a scene in it where he's listening to his music, and they're doing like the plan of the heist and getaway and stuff like that. And Jamie Foxx character goes, "Oh, can you?" I don't think he's listening. Why are we going to bring him on? He's not listening. And he swipes his headphones off and he goes, "Oh yeah, this is how we do it. We're doing this. I'm going to park here. We're going to get into here. And we're going to go around here and stuff like that." So he reholds. The good thing, he can rehold what everyone says and stuff like that. So,
I think there's sort of because you said there's like apprehension about sort of him being the sort of the main protagonist of this sort of like action film. Yeah. And I think that you could very much sort of draw comparisons from that to the new sort of Batman film.
Robert Pattinson,
yeah, and like everyone's like, oh, he's a skinny boy.
He's a vampire. He's a
but it's a sort of, you need to sort of watch the film and sort of make the judgments then, because they are actors.
Yeah,
they sort of do play different roles.
Yeah,
and I think that's very sort of important to sort of recognise in these films.
Yeah, it's like what's his face? Christopher Nolan's Batman. Who played him?
I don't know, some geezer.
But.
Anyway, it's carry on.
But you can change characters easily. Like, he gained, he was in the movie Machinist as this really, really skinny character, and he goes on to do Batman straight after, and he bulked up like £200 for it. And it's like actors, it's their job to play different characters, and I think Elgort did a good job of his role he was given.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very much a testament that these people are actors, and this is kind of what they do is play different people in different ways, which I think is sort of its own thing. And I think, definitely, there's got also had that man from The Punisher, the dude.
Oh yes, it has. It's
I can't remember what it's called either. But it is sort of very much
John Bernthal.
It's very much star-studded cast, which I think does make the film quite exciting to watch. I mean, obviously, there's lots of great films that don't have star-studded casts, but I do occasionally like to watch films where everyone there, I'm like, I know you, you're very famous, and it's like going, well, you spent all the budget on these really big actors.
I think it was in a lecture we had, and it was talking about, yes, you can get all these actors, but sometimes the film won't be as good as you think.
But I think sometimes though, having very good actors, if it's a character-driven story.
Yeah.
So sort of, I often write very character-driven stories that have lots of dialogue in them.
Yeah.
And I will often I would say the most of the budget should go towards getting good actors who can have that sort of comedic bounce or that sort of that very dynamic, dramatic range. And I think having that sort of very good cast who are sort of notable can do that. And also, I think something that I can't remember what they're called. The people who did Good Time and Uncut Gems. What are they called?
The Thingy brothers, Safdie brothers.
The Safdie brothers.
Safdie,
Yeah,
that's it, yeah.
Their casting is also very interesting. I think because they will cast someone who is often played in very different roles,
like Robert Pattinson in Good Time.
Yeah, and they'll like juxtapose him, and that will be like their whole schvitz is them doing this sort of thing. And what's his face?
Adam
Sandler. You know, this is like his only real dramatic role, and watching him in that film really adds to the sort of the depth of like the film, because it's sort of, you know, Adam Sandler. He did what in this film?
It's wrong. Actually, he shouldn't be doing this, but he is.
And I think sort of seeing these people in Baby Driver and sort of seeing these sort of juxtaposition of like roles to what they usually do is very good. And I think that's a very good filmmaking technique. I think is sort of seeing this one actor and going like, well, if I put them there, what will the audience feel? You know, and I think that was very well done in this film. I think there's lots of very good elements of this film that I sort of really, really enjoy.
Yeah. So there's this quote that I heard, and it's from Chris Stuckman, and it was Edgar Wright directed the of this film, and I really like that quote, because everyone thinks, oh, the director just points and says action and whatever. People have this misunderstanding when a director does, and yes, most of them are. But Edgar Wright's hands-on. He's a hands-on director. He likes to show people what he wants to do, and he has this hands-on approach to directing, which you don't really see often, and I really like it. That's why I like, because he has creative influence in every aspect of the thing, from picking the songs to the sound design to editing. He's always in the editing room with the editor, making sure it's perfect. And it shows in this film, because these little details. It's always the little details in Edgar Wright's films that are the best. Like from the opening walk for him to go, baby getting the coffee for the gang. He's listening to this music, and the graffiti behind him are doing the lyrics to the song, or little lyrics, or the road sign says some of the names of the song. It's all these little details that make an Edgar Wright film an Edgar Wright film.
Yeah, and from being filmmakers ourselves, we can very much. Those are very difficult things to put in a film.
Definitely. It takes time. Because
like the sort of, you know, if I want something that like the development, and also I think getting that from the beginning stages. If you have this idea at the start and then getting that all the way to the end of the film is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
Because like I'll have like these really fun ideas in my script, and I'll write them in, and then the director goes, you know what, these don't work, and then they'll just cut them out, and then it's sort of like it's rounding the sort of like the thing into something more sort of palatable, but to sort of have these sort of nice little tidbits go all the way through the film is such a testament to sort of very, very strong filmmaking.
Yeah, because my editing teacher said last year a movie's written 3 times. Once in the script, once with the director, and once in the edit. It can change drastically from what you originally had idea. But Edgar Wright's a writer-director. So with his writing, he can keep all what he's got in there, because he writes it with... Normally Simon Pegg normally writes it with, but...
Well, I think that's a very cool sort of... I sort of there's the idea of like, you know, the auteur who sort of like who sees it from its beginning inception to the ending sort of editing.
Yeah.
And then there's sort of like there's a sort of another school of thought within filmmaking of like, well, we pass this on to different people, and then they sort of remold it in their own sort of vision, and that sort of end product makes sort of a really good film. And I think there's if you see sort of directors like Spielberg, who perhaps won't really write the films, but will direct them. You sort of different ways of making films, I think, which are very interesting. I'm very much I like the idea of the sort of the auteur theory of someone, you know, it's not the auteur theory. I'm completely misusing that, but it's seeing it from start to finish. I like that sort of idea, but like it's a lot of work, and I do respect people who do that, who sort of write, direct, edit.
And I think that makes like I said, sometimes. Like if you were Spielberg, it makes a really good film because he's a good director.
Yeah.
Edgar Wright's not done many films, but the films he's done are visually amazing.
Well, he can't do that many films because he's spending so much time writing and directing, isn't he?
Well, I mean, Scott Pilgrim's one of my favourite films as well. Like one of the my favourite films in the world.
Yeah.
And soon we're going to do a podcast on it soon after Halloween or whatever, because I'm going to make you watch it.
I have seen it many times.
But anyway, we'll definitely do a podcast on that. But it's like that, like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End, everything like that. They're just amazing films, and yes, he hasn't done many of them, but he doesn't need to because they're always a treat to watch.
There's the student radio has just gone off in the other room, but
panic stations.
Yeah, it's quite loud at the moment. Anyway, but yeah, love a bit of Edgar Wright, and I do really like Scott Pilgrim as well. I do like. I mean, I'm not sort of the biggest fan in the world of sort of very sort of I don't know what to call it, animated sort of over the top films. But I think
anime style films. Would you say that?
I don't know. I don't know how to call it that. I mean, how would I describe it as Edgar Wright type films. But it's I do like his films.
Yeah.
I think they're very well made, and I can very much appreciate the craft in his films. And I do quite like them. I think sort of Scott Pilgrim is such a sort of fantastic film, and very sort of like ever present of my sort of youth, my ute. And I was sort of watching this film when I was sort of like, 16 or however old when I first saw it. It's very interesting. It's a good film, and it's definitely one. Talking about Baby Driver now, Baby Driver is definitely a very good film, and it's sort of like I think there'll be films in the future, and I think there have been films which will just sort of like have Baby Driver type scenes. Where sort of like people, and it will constantly be compared back to it, and they'll be like, oh, look at this Truman-esque thing, or look at this sort of Baby Driver-esque thing. And I think that's often how you made a very culturally significant piece of art, when you go, look at this blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I do think it will, because the beginning car chase predominantly was done practical, and you could tell that because the shots were held for a longer time than usual in a car chase. You see in like Fast and Furious films, they're like just cut after cut after cut after cut, and always inside of the car, because it's always on a green screen or a blue screen or a soundstage. Whereas this, you had lots of shots of the outside of it, you had aerial shots, you had shots of it doing a drift and everything like that. And I do think that from because visually it looked amazing. So I think they're gonna. More people would want to try and do more practical stunts rather than computer generated stunts.
I sort of and also the thing with practical stunts is that they always age a lot better.
Yeah.
I think when I was younger, I would watch these sort of films, be like in awe of the sort of the CGI of it, and then I watch them back now. I'm like, I thought that was real.
Spy Kids.
I think rewatching like sort of Harry Potter films.
Yeah.
And seeing these are huge budget CGI films, and I'm watching back like, I thought that was good quality at the time. And sort of these practical effects will always sort of age a lot better, and they'll always have this sort of like campness about them that really works, and it sort of becomes its own style, and stuff like that, which is also always very sort of interesting. Like the sort of the Star Wars films, I think that's one of the reasons why Star Wars has aged so well compared to sort of other
because they are miniatures. They use miniatures
Yeah.
for their
And that's also why I think the prequels didn't age as well,
Yeah,
because it's all CGI.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, obviously it's getting better and better and better and better. But I think it'll be sort of, a couple of a decade until we get properly really good CGI that it won't age terribly. I think at the moment it will just keep aging terribly. I keep seeing like stuff about like how it's very difficult to replicate skin.
Because you need the. I watched visual effects artist react on
the
Corridor Digital.
YouTube.
Yeah, and they always complain about it because it's always the pause. You need to pop your pause. Always
doing individual sort of stuff, and as you're doing sort of practical effects, and it's like it really sort of gives a sort of level of quite nice sort of film. Obviously, CGI is very much its own art, and it should be sort of own art, and should be seen as its own sort of thing. But I think these practical effects are very sort of like it to me. It feels like you're recording a performance. And with CGI, you're like punching it in, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which I think is always very cool. But yeah, Baby Driver, very good film.
Very good film.
Very good film. Definitely sort of going to be one of the most sort of influential films. Hopefully, Edgar Wright's new film will be just as good.
Yeah, you might hear us talk about it.
Maybe
over because we might go and watch it.
Depends if we can get the free tickets.
Yeah,
Matthew.
But
it's a great film. If you would have to give it a score out of 10.
Oh well, I'm gonna be biased though because it's one of my favourite films. So
yeah.
9.5, 9.
9.5.
9.5. Yeah.
Wow.
It's Edgar Wright. I can't slate Edgar Wright. So. Yeah.
I would. I don't know. It's a difficult one. I would give it like an 8 or a 7.5.
Nice, high for you.
Yeah. It's when we sort of review Portrait of a Lady on Fire. What did I give that? I gave that like a 9.5 or something.
Yeah.
I gave that a very high score. It's a great film. Maybe when we review sort of my other favourite films.
There's that. If you want to do another like foreign film, there's that one that just won the Venice or the Cannes Film Festival, that French one.
Titani,
yeah.
I've tried looking for that.
Apparently it's very weird. It's in cinemas. I'm part of the A24 Facebook group, and apparently it's all over.
It's not in
America. No, it's in America at the moment.
I don't think I've literally I keep looking for it, and I'm like I'm very willing to pay like £20 to see it.
Surely it should be like the Hyde Park cinema because they do more indie films, don't they?
Do they? I just don't think it's out in this country yet. And I think it's supposed to come on Mubi eventually. Mubi, if you're listening, why isn't it on Mubi yet?
Sponsor us.
Yeah, and sponsor us. But yeah, I don't know. We should review Titani. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing that correct either. I'm just saying Titani.
I've heard it's very weird.
It looks very weird from the trailers.
Yeah.
Like very weird, but it looks very good though.
Looks like your sort of film.
Yeah, thanks. Any French film is very much my film.
Yeah.
Which is, although I'm learning Spanish at the moment, I probably should be learning French, but it's Spanish is easy to learn.
Get your Duolingo done.
Oh, I need to get my Duolingo done. Yeah, that's something I need to do later on. do my ling, do my duo.
Duolingo.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's about it. Really, we baby drivered all the way up on that. Really, it was a good film.
We're at our destination.
We are at our destination. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Next week we'll have a horror film. What horror film? We're not sure yet. Because we don't really plan these shows that far in advance. No, we do. We definitely do.
Yeah.
And they're always planned immaculately. If you're listening, someone who judges us on that, we do. I don't know who that person would be. I'm trying to think. Studio manager? I don't really think they care.
Don't say that.
But yeah, it's Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright's definitely a thumbs up.
What a boy.
I love you, Edgar Wright. Can I work on one of your films, please?
Yeah. I'd like to work on one of your films as well. Although I gave you film an 8, which is positive.
On the Ellis score, that's very good.
Yes, Luke has this the thing he says like the Ellis test of like when I'm like reviewing his work, which is I'm not an authoritarian. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week, hopefully. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.